Relatives will probably gather for the first death anniversary, and I need to think about thank you notes. My husband Joe, while watching TV. This must be about Mike and Mary. It has nothing to do with us. I felt a surge of anger and sighed deeply. I want to confirm now, you're attending Bob's first death anniversary, right? Assuming it was obvious he would attend his own grandson's first death anniversary, I asked. Maybe not that day. Joe answered lightly. That day is Kate's birthday. So I can't go to Bob's first death anniversary. Who prioritizes their sister's birthday over their grandson's first death anniversary? Without taking his eyes off the TV, Joe said. People should value the living over those who are no longer here. I've often been exasperated by how much Joe's sister-in-law, Kate, adores him and vice versa. But Joe's absurdity of prioritizing Kate's birthday party over Bob's first death anniversary was too much, and I felt like crying. Anger exploded within me, and I turned off the TV. What are you so angry about? Bob is no longer with us. It's better to spend time with my sister, who is still alive. I don't have parents anymore, so I want to spend as much time as possible with my real sister, Kate. Bob's death anniversary is just one day out of the year. Kate's birthday is also once a year. Can't you just change the date? But a death anniversary doesn't work that way. Are you saying to reschedule Kate's birthday party? That's impossible. Joe retorted, his face turning red. Are you that afraid of going against her? The time I spend with Kate is priceless to me. It's natural to value Kate more than a grandson I've only seen once. Just do whatever you want. In the end, we decided to do our own things on the grandson's first death anniversary. My name is Susan, a 49-year-old housewife. I married Joe when I was 20 and have been blessed with children, living happily for nearly 30 years. However, there's always been one thorn in my side. Joe's sister, Kate. Given that Kate is 9 years younger than Joe, I had a sense of her doting on him even before we married. Even after we got married, there was a sense that she somewhat resented me. It wasn't just my imagination, she would blatantly badmouth me. Kate probably sees me as the worst woman who stole her precious brother. From the first family meeting at Joe's parents' house, Kate's behavior towards me was strange. While my in-laws welcomed me with smiles, Kate didn't smile at all. Joe should have married someone cuter. At first, I didn't mind, thinking it was just her personality, but seeing Kate smile widely at Joe, other relatives, and friends, I began to feel distrustful. When our eldest son, Mike, was born, the in-laws were overjoyed, but Kate had a bitter expression. This child looks like Susan and isn't very cute, she said openly, without whispering. That hurt me deeply. Still, since Kate lived at home, we rarely saw each other except at family gatherings. I tried not to think too much of her, considering her someone I should avoid. Mike grew up well, graduated from college, and started living on his own in an apartment as he began working at a home center. When he sent a photo of himself smiling with his coworkers, I cried at how much he had grown. One day, Mike came to us suddenly without any prior notice. Sorry. I meant to tell you sooner but couldn't find the right moment. Behind Mike, hesitating with his words, a young woman entered, holding a newborn baby. Nice to meet you, I'm Mary. Oh, when did you guys? I was surprised as I instantly understood the situation. Mike, with a look of regret. It's a shotgun wedding. I should have reported to Mom and Dad first and then had the child in that order, but it got reversed, and I'm really sorry. Joe and I looked at each other, taken aback by the sudden development. To Mike, who kept apologizing, I said, I thought my heart was going to stop from the shock. But I don't intend to blame you for the child being born. Congratulations. Thank you, Mom. But it would help if you reported such important things a bit sooner. Yeah, I'm reflecting on that. I want to hear all about it. Come in. I decided to warmly welcome my eldest son, his wife, and their child. Looking at the child's face, which resembled Mike when he was young, made me happy too. We named him Bob. Nice to meet you, Bob. Holding Bob, I said. He's our first grandchild. We have to live long enough to see him grow up. That's right. Contrary to my joy, Joe gave a small, emotionless nod. Even after Mike and his family left, I couldn't contain my excitement, to which I said excitedly, I wonder when they'll come next? I'm looking forward to seeing my grandchild already. You can never have too many clothes, right? I have to buy a lot before they come next. He's just been born. Buying so many clothes will just be a bother for Mike and them. Joe said coldly. What are you talking about? You've seen Mike grow up from a child. You know children outgrow their clothes quickly. Was that so? I don't remember well. Joe spoke as if it were someone else's concern. Irritated by such an indifferent husband, I said. Why are you so indifferent to your grandchild? That's how you were with Mike too. You've always been indifferent, leaving all the child rearing to me. I've forgotten about such old matters. You never went to Mike's sports day or school visits, did you? I was always tired from work. Joe made excuses, to which I sighed deeply. Indeed, I understand Joe has been busy with the construction business for many years, but he could have at least engaged with the children when at home. Now, more than ever, I'm utterly astounded by Joe's indifference towards our family. That aside, the moment I remember our grandchild's face, my agitated feelings clear up, and I return to smiling again. Children are amazing, aren't they? No matter what bad things happen, they have the power to make everyone smile instantly. Is that so? Joe muttered, still uninterested. Soon after, Mike called. It was quite late, past 12 a.m. The mobile phone by the pillow rang loudly. It's Mike. What could it be at this hour? That guy is inconsiderate. Why would he call at such a time? Joe complained, but soon started snoring. Contrastingly, I got a bad feeling and immediately got up. Answering the phone, there was a moment of silence before. Something terrible has happened. Mike's voice was clearly trembling. What happened? Calm down and talk to me. It was evident from the phone that Mike was crying. Pull yourself together. You're a dad now, I said, almost scolding, and Mike said, The child. Bob has passed away. Wah. I almost said, You're joking, but I knew Mike wouldn't make such a joke. I became distraught, unsure what to say to comfort my sobbing son. After waiting a couple of minutes for Mike to calm down, I tried to speak calmly. Tell me what happened. Mike took a deep breath and started explaining the circumstances. The cause of death was so-called sudden infant death syndrome. Mary is completely downcast, and whatever the doctor says goes over her head. Mom, please help. Even after hanging up, Mike's desperate cries echoed in my head. Being asked for help, there's only so much I can do. All I can do is be there for Mike and his wife. After a while, I put on a light cardigan and started preparing to go out. Joe, hearing the noise, woke up, rubbing his eyes. It's noisy. Can't you be a bit quieter? What time do you think it is? Joe, Bob has passed away. Bob? Is that someone you know? Who was that again? He's your grandson, for heaven's sake. Get a grip. Anger added to my grief, and I couldn't help but yell at Joe. Joe, sulking. Was he? Well, I have to get up early tomorrow, so I'm going back to bed, he said, turning back towards the bedroom. Our grandson has died. How can you be so nonchalant about this? Bob was Mike's kid, not ours, right? Why are you getting so worked up about it? Joe's attitude, as if it was someone else's problem, pushed me to the edge. Fine. I'm going to Mike's place anyway. Leaving Joe, who showed no interest in his son or grandson, I drove through the dark streets to the hospital. The face of Bob when I arrived at the hospital looked just like a doll. Bob. I cried so hard I felt like collapsing. Mary clung to the child's body, with Mike supporting her frail body from behind. I quickly pulled myself together and said, Mary, I know it's hard, but you have to stay strong. Having never experienced the loss of a child, I didn't know what to say. Still, as a parent, all I could do was try to encourage them as much as possible. We were led to the funeral home's facility. Mary, why don't you lie down and rest a bit? Mary nodded with a pale face, but it's easier for me to stay awake. When I try to sleep, the child appears in my dreams. Mike, despite his grief, approached the meeting with the funeral home's representative with a calm demeanor. Mary, have you eaten anything? You won't last if you don't eat. I stayed close to Mary, who wouldn't leave the small coffin's side, and continued to offer words of encouragement. Even in such a situation, I remained calm, thinking about what needed to be done next. We need to let the family and relatives know about Bob's death. Thinking this, I called Joe. Joe said he was going to work in the morning, but I wondered if he would actually be waiting at home after hearing about Bob's death. Despite my concerns, Joe seemed to be at home. I guess it's my grandson's funeral. I've decided to take a couple of days off work. I've already told the boss. Hearing that, I felt a bit relieved. And I got a call from Kate earlier. The mention of that woman's name at a time like this made me feel a sharp pain in my stomach. Why would Kate, whom I hadn't seen or spoken to since last summer's vacation, call now? So, what did Kate want? Tomorrow's her birthday, right? She was asking about my plans. She said you should come home and celebrate once in a while. Joe reported cheerfully about the call from Kate. Joe, you seem quite happy, but this isn't the time for that, is it? Did you make sure to tell Kate about Bob's passing? Of course I did. But Kate wasn't interested at all. She got mad at me for ruining the festive mood. Hearing Joe's words, anger welled up inside me. You didn't just let it slide, did you? Let it slide. I didn't say anything. What else was I supposed to do? Are you an idiot? How can you laugh at a time like this when your own grandson has gone through such a thing? Didn't it make you angry to be told she wasn't interested? Susan, you're overreacting. He was just born. We haven't spent much time with him to be this sad. Besides, Kate never even met Bob. It's really none of her concern. Joe's callous words turned my anger into sadness. You always take Kate's side, but don't you think there's something wrong with her? Have you ever argued back even once? Argue with Kate? Impossible. I couldn't do that. Joe laughed on the other end of the phone as if nothing was wrong. Ever since we were kids, I've been the troublemaker, and Kate always took the blame for me. That's why I can't stand up to her even now. Joe recounted past memories, laughing loudly. I was dumbfounded and couldn't find the words to respond. This is insane. You and your sister are really something else. Gathering my strength, I managed to say just that before hanging up the phone. In the end, we attended our grandson's funeral service with unresolved feelings between us. As Bob's first death anniversary was approaching not long after his death, I suggested to Joe, who had the day off, that we should take some time to talk about the future. Even though it's not as big as the funeral, relatives will gather for the first death anniversary, and we need to think about thank you notes and various other things. Since then, my sister-in-law, Mary, seemed to have regained her energy to the extent that it did not interfere with her daily life, but sometimes she became gloomy remembering Bob. I didn't want to burden Mary, so I wanted to help as much as I could in her place. But Joe, while watching TV and looking bored, "Why do you have to go to such lengths, Susan? This is about Mike and Mary, right? It's none of our business," he responded, then laughed and clapped his hands at a comedian's joke on TV. "Are you saying that again? I can't understand you at all." I was filled with anger and sighed deeply. Since Bob's funeral, my distrust towards Joe had only increased. I always visit the grave on Bob's monthly death anniversary. On that day, both Mike and Mary would take off work to visit Bob's grave, but Joe continued to show no interest in Bob. "I'm good. I have the day off, but I've promised to go shopping with Kate." So, I felt compelled to ask, "I want to confirm now, you're surely attending Bob's first death anniversary, right?" Assuming it was obvious he would attend since it's family, but for some reason, Joe didn't answer right away. Instead, after taking some time and looking up at the ceiling, he finally replied in a light tone, "I guess that day might be difficult." "Why would it be difficult? The company should know it's the anniversary of his death, right?" I reminded him that his co-workers and bosses had even attended Bob's funeral. It was hard for me to believe that the company would prioritize work over a grandchild's first death anniversary. Joe shook his head. "No, I don't have work that day." "Then why can't you attend?" Joe then gave an unbelievable reason. "You know, don't you? That day is Kate's birthday. I've been invited by Kate, so I can't attend Bob's first death anniversary." Joe said this so seriously that I burst out laughing, past my anger. "Stop joking at a time like this. Who prioritizes their sister's birthday over their grandson's first death anniversary? I've never heard such a thing." Without taking his eyes off the TV, Joe said, "People should value those who are alive over those who are not," and started laughing loudly again at another joke on TV. I was so angry that I grabbed the TV remote and turned off the TV. "What are you doing? It was just getting to a good part. I'm having a very serious conversation right now. Look at me." I stared at Joe like I was scolding a child. Joe met my gaze several times, but looked away as if feeling scolded every time. "Why are you so angry? After all, Bob is no longer with us. It's better to spend time with Kate, who is still alive. I don't have my parents anymore. I never had the chance to show them filial piety while they were alive. So now, I want to spend as much time as possible with Kate, who lives alone at home." "But that's a different matter. Bob's death anniversary is just one day out of the year. Kate's birthday is also just one day a year. That's something you can change by just moving the date. But you can't do that with a death anniversary. You're an adult, you should understand that. Are you saying I should ask Kate to change her birthday date? That's impossible," Joe retorted, his face turning red, and I was so dismayed that I said, "Are you that afraid of Kate? Is it that unpleasant for you to go against her? Kate has always doted on me. The time I've spent with Kate is irreplaceable to me. It's natural to want to prioritize Kate over a grandson I've only seen once or twice." Joe was unusually furious. slamming his fists on the table repeatedly. Kate has been the biggest benefactor in my life. Even when I messed up, Kate covered for me. Everything I am today is all thanks to Kate. I don't care about you anymore. Just do whatever you want. Our emotions laid bare, our conversation led nowhere, and ultimately, we ended up taking separate actions on the day of Bob's first death anniversary. A week passed, and I was on my way to the funeral home in Mike's car. Dad really isn't coming? Mike sighed while gripping the steering wheel. He left early in the morning, looking happy to go back to his parents' home. I said, looking out the window. I don't care about Joe anymore. Let him do whatever he wants. Imagining Joe happily attending Kate's birthday party, I felt no anger. He must be quite surprised now. I agree with your decision, Mom. Whatever happens to Dad from here on out is his own responsibility, Mike said, looking at me through the rearview mirror with determination. Then, my mobile phone rang. Just as I thought. Let's let Mike hear what situation Joe is in now. I answered the call on speakerphone. Susan! What do you think you're doing? Joe's voice, filled with anger and panic, came through. There's no need to shout. Your voice can be heard by not just me but also Mike and Mary. Why are you playing such a prank? Did I do something to make you hate me? I just attended Kate's birthday party. A small gift from me to you and your beloved sister. Did you like it? I knew Joe would be disturbed by it, but hearing him panic dissipated my anger. Kate's shrill voice could be heard in the background. I told you, anything from that woman wouldn't be good. Quiet, Kate. I'm having an important conversation with Susan right now. As I listened silently, Joe, flustered and slurring his words. It's a lie, right? You wouldn't leave me over a piece of paper, right? What paper are you talking about? I feigned ignorance, enjoying the situation. The divorce papers. Why would you send something like that without reason? And on Kate's birthday party of all times. That's taking a joke too far. And what's with that message? What does it mean? I had sent a divorce application with a message card attached. The message read, It seems Joe is happier with Kate. Live well together as siblings. Everything written in that message and on the divorce papers represents my true feelings. I've completely lost interest in you. My name is already signed. All you have to do is sign your name, and it can be submitted. Fed up with Joe's behavior, I had decided to cut ties with my husband. It's no joke. I have no intention of leaving you. Joe sounded desperate, but Kate's annoying voice was heard. If she wants to leave, just let her divorce. Quiet, Kate. I'm having an important conversation here. It's also Mike's wish that I divorce you. You've neglected his child, after all. Mike nodded seriously in the mirror. That. I don't want to separate. All right, Kate. Let's do that. I don't really want to sign, but I will. Pathetically, Joe seemed unable to oppose Kate and made a decision to change his mind. With the divorce from Joe decided, I felt a sense of relief at no longer having to face the detestable Kate. Susan, you seem to have a better complexion lately. You look somewhat rejuvenated. Really? Well, getting rid of a burden might have helped. I joked, and Mary laughed. Since then, Mary gradually regained her spirits and even increased her interactions with relatives. Yet, I continued to worry and visited my son and his wife's home. Thanks for everything, Mom. But you don't need to worry, Mary is doing fine. Mike reassured me, and I felt relieved. Indeed, I recently received happy news from Mike that Mary was pregnant with their second child. I've been making meals and frequently bringing them to my son and his wife's new home, trying not to burden Mary. The child that's about to be born needs to grow up and become an adult, and even have children of their own. I need to live long enough to see that. That's right. I have so much I want to learn from Susan, and I need her to stay healthy and with us. Hearing my son and his wife say that made me smile involuntarily. It looks like I need to stay strong until I become a great-grandma. I whispered to Bob at his grave, so quietly that my son and his wife couldn't hear. Having goals even as one ages is a wonderful thing. I felt as if a new source of vitality had sprung up within me. Meanwhile, Joe had sent several messages and called a few times wanting to reconcile. Kate is so worried I'll fall for some weird woman again that she won't let me step outside. I'm an adult, you know. More importantly, you and I are complete strangers now, so please don't contact me again. As much as I love Kate, being together all the time can be suffocating. You should cherish your real sister over a stranger like me. That's more like you and it's wonderful. So, goodbye. Joe was still complaining on the other end of the phone, but I hung up and then blocked his number. What happened to Joe and Kate after that is not something I know or care about. More exciting things are happening for me. Mom, the baby is born. Mike's tearful, joyful face and the sound of a baby crying from the delivery room. Congratulations, Mike. Build a wonderful family. The restlessness in my heart was quickly replaced by a warm feeling.